Hey guys, this is Sean. Sorry for the low quality of audio and video, but this is all I got. I'm on the road, so please forgive me. I had no idea I was going to record a video today, but I have a lot of time on my hands right now. So the question that I get all the time is, do I qualify for my California Private Investigator license? So let's answer that. But before we do any further, I just want you to know that I don't work for BSIS. I never have worked for them in the past, nor do I represent the law enforcement agency that I currently work for. Okay? Your application is your responsibility. So if there's any errors, that is on you. Okay? You got to remember that there's no YouTube video that can address every single fact, every experience that you had. That's just nearly impossible. But the whole intention of the video just gave you some pointers over the course of 7 years that I have, some pointers that I thought about and that I give to a lot of my colleagues. Okay, so number one, you have to have a minimum of 6,000 investigative hours. That's every year you get 2,000 hours. Okay, so they want you a total of 3 years. At the end, you're supposed to have 6,000 hours of investigative work. Okay, the code is very specific on the type of work experience that you must have accumulated during those years. So I'm going to read off the list. That experience needs to be from a sworn law enforcement agency, a military police officer, an insurance adjuster, an employee of a licensed California private investigative firm, okay, an arson investigations unit for a fire suppression agency, and the last one they discuss is a public defender for a public defender's office. Now, you might run into some issues if you're out of state. Okay, I do help out a lot of out of state clients out there, but you might have some issues. There's this one fellow, I think he's from New York, and he had a lot of detective experience in New York. He also had some experience in another state. I think it was maybe New Jersey. And he accumulated a lot of hours. I think maybe like 10 years worth of experience. Well, BSIS told him that we're not going to accept any of your experience. They told him that you have to work for a California agency, and we're not going to accept your experience for the private agency that you work for as well. That's just wrong. Okay, it made me very upset because in prior years we've had no problem with getting people their license, even if they're out of state, no matter where they got their experience from, as long as it's from a licensed private investigative agency. So all of a sudden, BSIS, under new leadership, decided to only accommodate. It almost looks like California residents, mostly people that got their experience in California. You might be lucky, and they might accommodate you if your experience is from another state. But then again, it really depends on the BSIS technician. There's no consistency, as you can tell. So it really depends on the BSIS technician and that person's manager, okay, whether you qualify or not to get your license. Those of you that worked for an attorney's office, a private attorney, that used to qualify you, but that's not written in the Business Professions Code of Qualifying Experience anymore. Mind you, I used to get a lot of people that were investigators for law firms, and then now all of a sudden they're not allowing the people to sit for the exam, which to me is just wrong. I mean, why would you let them previously do that and all of a sudden not? It just doesn't make any sense. However, if you're an attorney, okay, that should No, actually, scratch that. I haven't had a lot of attorneys lately after the new BSIS leadership takeover that got their license. So I haven't had one yet. But I anticipate a fight when I do get some more colleagues that are going to go that mile. There is a business professions code that actually says that the director of BSIS can actually accommodate your experience if you don't fall into these categories. Okay. A good discussion of that was actually in my book, The Legal Investigator, which you get in Amazon. I'll find the section and then I'll post it in this video as well, just in case you're one of those persons that fall into that category. Okay, so let's just say you don't fall into that category of the option A, where it's 6,000 hours. The option B is if you have an associate's degree, and I'll read it from here, in police science, criminal justice, or criminal law, okay, and you have 2.5 years of experience of investigative work, okay. That will also qualify you, and that's written in the code. The third category is if you have a law degree, which is a Juris Doctorate, and or there's also an or. You have a 4-year degree in, it says here, police science, and here's a kicker, plus 2 years. Okay, so you can have, a PhD in investigations. I'm not sure they even have one, but let's just say if there was, you can have that, or you can have a Juris Doctorate degree. You got to have experience also to qualify for this license. Okay, so let's just say you do qualify. The second question you're going to have to ask yourself is there somebody that could sign off on my certificate for qualifying experience? Okay, so if you go to the BSIS website, it should be under forms, and pull out the application for the private investigator license. You look on form 31B8, it's 31B8, and the name of the form is Private Investigator Qualified Manager Qualifying Experience. It's a really strange name to name one of those forms, excuse me. But it's on there, I think it's maybe the 5th or 6th page down from this 15-page application that they have online. And just look at it, and then ask yourself, am I going to get somebody that's going to sign off on this? Okay, so let me actually pull out that form, and we'll go through it. Okay, so if you can find that form right now, give you a couple seconds, or maybe you want to find it and then go back to this video. So it's called the Private Investigator Qualified Manager Qualifying Experience form. On the bottom right, it says 31B8, B as in boy, and it's revised in 2016. Just make sure that you get the current year. If it's a year that's not current, they're going to kick back your application, and they're not even going to tell you why. And later on, you're going to find out 5 months down the road why it was rejected. And you don't want to get rejected for having an application form they don't use anymore. So the front of the form, it says this section to be completed by applicant. Below that, number 1, name of applicant. That name has to match what your live scan, what you put on live scan. Put your home address, that's number 2. Number 3, your phone number. 4, name of employer whom applicant acquired experience, that's number 4. If it's a California private investigation agency, just make sure that they're licensed, okay? They're licensed with the Bureau, okay? Put the name of the immediate supervisor, that's number 5. Number 6, the address, and then number 7, the employer's business telephone number. They usually don't call to verify, but I've had some friends tell me that they've actually called to verify. So they might verify, okay? Just in case you're wondering, maybe your prior employer might want to fill this form out, maybe because he or she thinks that you're going to compete against them. If that happens, the law does say that the licensee, which is the holder of the private investigator license, has to fill this form out within 30 days. If not, then there are penalties for that. However, I mean, do you really want to force somebody with the arm of the law to fill out this application for you? No, you don't. Okay. So numbers 1 through 7, you actually fill that out yourself. Okay, you're the one that needs to fill it out. We're still on number 17. Number 8, name declarant, self-explanatory. 9, address of declarant. And then they want number 11, license number. 10, they want the name of the employer. That's number 12. 13, the address. Okay. Number 14, declarant's relationship to applicant. Okay. Lately, I've been noticing that BSIS wants the qualified manager of that company to sign off on your certificate. Okay. Now, if you're from law enforcement, maybe you're arson investigator for a public agency, or maybe you're not law enforcement, you're like a public investigator. You have that experience. Some of the stuff that won't apply, like if you don't put your license number on there, there's no need for that. But what they've been wanting is the qualified manager to fill this out, or the owner of the company that you previously worked for. Obviously, if you're working for an agency that's not a private investigator agency, there's no qualified manager and there's no owner. The public owns that agency. So, number 15 asks, the declarant has personally known applicant for, and then you just put the number of years and months. 16's the time again. And then 17, the position title. And to the right, they want the total hours accumulated. Okay. And then was applicant full-time, part-time, supposed to be full-time work. You can get part-time work, okay, that's fine. You can be a part-time investigator. I knew one guy who worked for Pasadena PD as a missing person investigator part-time, and he would just have a supervisor fill out. I think he was there for 10 years, and during that 10 years, he eventually accumulated 6,000 hours. So you just got to be able to have that supervisor or that qualified manager describe that. The description of duties, hey, look, nobody really cares if you're the best employee in the world. Your certificates, nobody cares. BSIs just want the description of duties. I've seen some really crazy stuff written on here, and it revolves around how good the employee was. Nobody cares. Okay, the state just wants to know what kind of investigative work you do. Make sure that you include the words investigative or investigates. Those types of language. Nobody cares about patrol. Let's just say you work patrol at a law enforcement agency. Okay, just don't put patrolled city or county in a black and white or green or white patrol car, responding calls for service. The state doesn't care. Okay, that's not going to qualify you for license. What you might want to put is investigated domestic violence disputes, investigated identity theft, investigated homicides, investigated traffic collision, non-injury, injury, fatal. Again, you want to use that wording in there. Nobody cares about the irrelevant stuff about patrol. You're responding to an alarm. That has nothing to do with qualifying you for investigative license. You also do not want to include letters of recommendation. I always see that. Well, not always, but sometimes attached to these applications. Again, the state doesn't care how well of an employee you were. Okay. Okay. So mid to the right, it says was applicant full-time, part-time, and then below that it says on payroll. Okay, this is kind of a little tricky one. They want to know if you're paid or not. Okay, so if you put no, okay, your application is going to get rejected. Okay, because the law requires you to have compensated experience. Subcontractor, again, it's yes or no, but if you're subcontractor, okay, there might be a question of, let's say if you're working maybe without a private investigator license. Maybe, I keep bringing up law enforcement agencies. I'm not excluding everyone else in the other sectors. I get a lot of applicants that are in law enforcement agencies. But some of them, they might retire and then work as background investigators, or IA, which is internal affairs investigators, for the agency they previously worked for on a contract basis. If the state finds out that you worked for that agency as a contractor without a private investigator license, okay, that's actually a crime. It's a misdemeanor, and they're not going to grant you a license for a very long time. So it's kind of looks like a little trap, okay? So if it's subcontract experience, there might be an issue with that. Okay, below that percentage of time, investigation, again, make sure that the percentages all add up, and that eventually you have 6,000 hours. What's the other number that you can have, or 2,500 hours? Whichever category that you fall under, make sure it's there. And again, make sure you have a discussion with your former supervisor about what they're going to put on this form. Have that discussion with them, because again, you don't want them to put stuff that's not going to get you qualified. Again, I'm not saying to tell them tell them what to write. All I'm saying is have a discussion on what you're gonna what they're gonna put on there. Because let's just say you work patrol most of your career, let's just say you work half patrol, half investigations. If you just put patrol on there, you're not going to get qualified with anything, even though you have the investigative experience. So again, make sure that that those wordings are used if that's the truth. Okay, do not lie on this application. Every year there's somebody that forges a supervisor's signature on there that just makes this stuff up, and there's always that one or two, maybe a year, that you read about. You definitely don't want to have a paragraph in my next book about the next guy, the next guy, the next guy that messes it up again. Okay. So below that, there's a signature declarant. They got to sign. They got to put the title and then date. Okay. We're on page 18 right now. Again, make sure that they sign it, date it. Now, wherever you go, let's just say you work for Private Investigator right now, just make sure that once you get those years of experience, even if you still work for them, while you're on good terms, have them complete this form, for you. Just in case there's the disagreement, and then you gotta leave them bad terms, and they don't like you, and they don't want to fill this out, because I'm telling you, man, this form is golden when it's filled out. So every year, if you're law enforcement, every year have them fill it out. Just have it with you, handy all times. You want to make sure that you have them completed every year or every time, because if it's on an old form, okay, forbid that happen, BSIS is going to reject that application. Okay, so the last issue is not being able to have anybody fill this form out. Yeah, that definitely happens. You just have to show the state that you work for this person, maybe like a payroll sheet, paychecks. What also help is when you get your W-2s back, okay, and just show that constant timing that shows the years that you did investigative work. That work in California, if you put a request to the Employment Development Department, I think it's called a quarterly earnings statement. It'll show the name of your employer. Maybe you haven't, worked for a particular employer for many years, and you lost all your records. You can also use that form as well. You might be able to use other supervisors, assuming that you are using a licensed private investigation agency to qualify. You might be able to use them, but lately they've been rejecting that. They've gotten really strict over the years. Okay, so I hope that you're able to take in this knowledge and it helps you. If it doesn't, or if you still have any Any other questions, please do not hesitate to call BSIS first. Again, I don't work for them. I just have a lot of experience over 7 years of helping my colleagues fill these applications out and just give some pointers. You can also ask me too. You could send the state an email. Okay, you gotta be really patient, and I think you can find their email address under Contact Us on their website. Now, if you send an email, there's only one person that works that help desk. Okay, only one person, so please be patient. I'm actually still waiting for them to respond to an email I sent to them 3 years ago. So I don't know when they intend on getting back with me. Okay, hopefully soon. But I think they've been resolving those issues. And again, my case with them taking forever, that's a minority of cases. A lot of people get results or they get responses within a couple of days. But again, you got to just be patient with the state. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it helps you out. And please subscribe and press the like button. Okay, thank you very much.